It's just this radio thing. When you're a radio host, you're a radio producer. When you're on vacation, you just feel like the biggest story in the world is going to happen. Now, it wasn't the biggest story in the world, but it was a pretty big story that popped up while I was gone. And, of course, I'm talking about Derek Carr. We spent a lot of time talking about Derek Carr and the possible extension he could sign, what the Raiders were going to do, et cetera, et cetera. So while I'm gone, the Carr extension gets done. And my initial reaction, just kind of seeing the tweets and all of that, seeing the initial numbers, and I underline that word and then put it in bold, initial. When I saw the initial numbers, I said, well, that's a pretty good contract for the Raiders. It's not a bad contract at all. And then when I did more digging, I couldn't believe what I was reading. I could not believe that Derek Carr signed this contract extension. This is completely and utterly one-sided. This is one of the most team-friendly deals that any player could sign in the NFL. This is one of, if not the most team-friendly deal that a quarterback has signed. A legitimate franchise quarterback. I can't tell you, Chris, how many people were tweeting at me at Nick C Radio when I said this is a heck of a deal. This is one heck of a deal for the Raiders. And I had some people reach out, say, at Nick C Radio, well, he's not that good. He's not a really good quarterback. It's not like he's awesome. Even if you don't think Derek Carr is a top 10, 15 quarterback in the league, and by the way, I do. I've said that. I'm team Derek Carr. I think he is a good quarterback. Is he great? Is he a top 5 guy? Do we use that word elite when we talk about Carr? No, we don't. That'd be foolish to use that word elite when talking about Carr. But when I look at Derek Carr and I see him play, and yes, I understand he's got flaws. He will throw checkdowns, and sometimes he won't try to force it to guys and make tough throws, and sometimes he doesn't challenge teams enough down the field. I know, I get it. But when you compare him to other quarterbacks in this league, he is a top 15 guy to me. And when you look at where he is as far as a quarterback, and then you think about the quarterback market, how many quarterbacks sign contracts that make your head spin because you say, wait a minute, what? Huh? That guy got that contract? I can't tell you how many times I've talked into a microphone about this. The quarterback market is different. The quarterback market puts a ton of pressure on the franchise. If there's any position in the NFL that has leverage, like pretty much right out the gates, it's the quarterback position. And usually the way this works is when you see guys sign contracts, the next guy gets a bigger contract, even if that next guy is not as good as the last guy. That's kind of how this goes. Now, I think that's been changed somewhat because Mahomes ended up signing that contract for like $45 million annually, which was a huge jump from the prior guy. But when you look at these deals, they're usually kind of lingering around the same value, right? So if you were looking at Matthew Stafford's contract, for example, if you think Matthew Stafford's the 8th or 9th best quarterback in the league, and you think Derek Carr is the 13th best quarterback in the league, if you want to, go by every technical little number. If you look at what Stafford signed for, got tons of guaranteed money. It's like a 4-year, $160 million deal, whatever. Looking good, right? And then you look at what Carr signed for. He signed for like pennies on the dollar. Pro Football Talk wrote about this. The Raiders basically gave Carr a $3.9 million raise for 2022. They gave him a $4 million raise this year. Nothing. Now, $4 million to me is a lot. $4 million to many of you, if not most of you, is a lot. $4 million to Verlad's a lot.
I'll take $4 million.
But $4 million to an NFL franchise quarterback, it's a drop in the bucket. So they gave him $4 million raise this year. They gave him a significant injury guarantee for 2023 and beyond in exchange for the flexibility to cut him after one season, if they so choose. So here's the deal, folks. Derek Carr, with this contract extension, is set to make $24.9 million fully guaranteed. That's it. $24.9 million guaranteed. Because the way the injury guarantee works, let's say Derek Carr doesn't play great football this year, which I expect him to with, who they've added and McDaniels as the OC for all intents and purposes. Let's say Carr doesn't have a good year. You know what happens? Well, the Raiders have like 2 or 3 days to make that decision before the new league year starts. And they say, all right, we're going to release you, Derek. And Derek gets no money. He's cut. It's done. Contract over. Now, if he gets past that point when the Raiders have to make the decision, or he's hurt, that's the injury guarantee. So if he has an injury, he's guaranteed more money moving forward. But if he gets through this season healthy and the Raiders decide that he's not the guy, they can cut him. And all he got was like a $3 million raise this year, $4 million raise, with, of course, a $24.9 fully guaranteed. When you compare this contract to other contracts of quarterbacks around the league, I couldn't care less how you feel about Derek Carr. I tweeted this out. When you look at some of the money, this would place Carr like 25th amongst NFL quarterbacks for guaranteed money at the time of signing. Do you think he's the 25th best quarterback in the league? Because that's the contract he signed. He signed a terrible contract. And for Raiders fans, be thrilled. You should be thrilled about this contract. And so, when you look at this, I would say, number one, McDaniels and Ziegler had the New England approach. And I talked about this, right? Leading up to this extension, Bill Belichick used to look at Brady, and he looks at quarterbacks, and he wants to know the percentage of the cap that you make. And so McDaniels and Ziegler approached Carr like Belichick would approach Brady. If you want to make the team better, if you want to win, you're going to have to take some risk. We'll give you a bump this year. This is all out of the Belichick playbook when handling the quarterback position.
And it sounds like Carr said, okay, I'll take less than that.
Now Carr has to go out there and make it look like that he was, for taking contracts similar to Brady, and like you said, say, all right, I'll take less than that. I mean, he's got to back it up, and he's got to win now because, look, Carr really didn't want to leave. If he wanted to leave, he'd be gone. When you sign this contract, you're telling everybody you want to stay where you're at because he could have easily gotten more money if he just played the rest of this season out. He would have been franchised next year. He would have been a free agent next year. And Carr did not do any favors for other quarterbacks in the league by signing this contract. If you're another quarterback, you're like, what are you doing, Derek? You're supposed to help set the market, not set it back. But now you have no excuses. You're telling everybody that this is your chance to win. You wanted to stay here. And you took less to pay guys like Devontae Adams. So hopefully for Carr and everybody else, it works out. But that contract is a no-brainer for Vegas. That is a no-brainer kind of contract.